So welcome back to my Workbench under the stairs, and welcome back to my Dell Latitude C-610 laptop. In the first part, I discovered the BIOS battery was dead and a janky attempt at a replacement. So then took some button cell batteries and had to make my own janky repair. I soldered um, the leads from my replacement batteries to the motherboard, but in the process, I damaged part of the keyboard. So I'm going to be going without a keyboard for now. So let's get on. I'll include links to the first part up in the upper right hand corner and in the description to the first video so you can catch up. So let's get on with part 2. So I grabbed some more button cell batteries and I'm going to try again. But before I build another battery pack, I'm going to first do some testing on the laptop to see if there's a specific fault that killed the first battery pack I built. I'll grab my meter. I'll start checking a few things like resistance readings and current draw. So to begin with, I'm just going to take the battery pack I made. I'm going to take it apart and remove it from the laptop. So let's just turn on my soldering iron first. Yeah, you can definitely tell there's a lot of thermal mass in this battery pack I've made for the first time. So, because it is just not taking the heat. Yeah, there we go. There we go. It melted eventually. And I'll just do the same on the negative lead. So to begin testing the laptop, I'm going to first start by checking to see if there's any continuity through the BIOS to ground. And starting at the 20K setting on my multimeter, shows open. And on 200K, shows open. And finally at 20 megs, it's open. So if there was some kind of short, okay, so now it's actually my meter is now showing around 7 or 6 megs and falling. So let's just see where this goes. Three, 2 megs. Now I don't know if this is just capacitors charging up and then showing, but even at 2.2 megs, it shouldn't have drained my battery pack. And now it seems to be stabilized around a little under 2.2 megs. So, okay, so for my next test, I'm going to measure current flow through the BIOS of the computer. I'm starting with a 9-volt battery, which is only about a little less than 2 volts more than what the laptop normally expects. So if it has its own filtering capacitors, then it should be buffered. So I have my multimeter connected in series with the power leads to the BIOS chip. So when ready, I'm going to connect the battery. series, and it's currently showing about 0.7 milliamps. So let's downgrade to 0.72 milliamps, and on and then in microamps, so 724 microamps. So is that enough to drain a battery pack made of button cell batteries? I'm not too sure what's going to happen with a new battery pack. Is there still a fault in the laptop that's causing these batteries to drain? Or did my soldering the batteries together fry the lithium and that's what killed it? So I've got one more test I'm going to try, and that's going to be a voltage drop test. So I'll just hook my voltmeter to the battery and then hook it up to the laptop, and if I see a drop in the voltage, then I know that there's a leaky capacitor or some kind of short in the laptop. I am now set up to do the voltage drop test. I've got my negative hooked up to the battery. I've got my laptop, and hooked up, my multimeter's hooked up to the battery, and it's currently showing about 9.5 volts. So when I hook up the laptop to the positive lead, will that voltage drop? And yes, it did. Quite a bit. It's dropped by about over 1.5 volts. So yeah, that is a bit of a concern, that there might be something shorted or leaky capacitor wise in this laptop. So if I'll just disconnect again, and it goes back up to 9.4, and then reconnecting goes down to 8.1. So yeah, 1.3 volts. So is that still indicative of a serious problem? Why a battery pack would just drain to nothing? I don't know. So the approach I'm going to take to building a new BIOS battery pack is, because I'm still dealing with the theory that my soldering killed the batteries, I'm just going to tape them together with a couple of wires to connect to the laptop. We're just going to strip off a wee bit of insulation, and I'm just going to tape it down to the positive side of one of the batteries. And I'll just do the same with a black wire to go to the negative. And then on the negative side, I'll just tape it down. And so then I just make a battery sandwich. And then I'll just take the tape, and now I'm just going to take some electrical tape just to make a tighter connection between all three batteries. And then just make sure to always stretch your electrical tape to ensure a good bond. apart. And just go the other way with another piece of tape. And then just to make sure the electrical tape, I'll give it one more piece of Scotch tape. And now I'll just check the voltage. And I mean, typically it's supposed to be closer to 9, but 6.6 for what we're going to be doing with this, it'll be good enough. So now all I got to do now is hook my battery pack into circuit, and we'll power it on and see if we can set and save some BIOS settings. Now I'm just using a USB keyboard, and I'm hoping the BIOS setup will let me will accept a USB keyboard for input. So 3, 2, 1, and fire it up. And it's very low contrast, and there we go, and booting up, and hopefully and there we go. Hit F2. Yes, we can use a USB keyboard. So I'm just gonna set the time and date. So I'll just say there we go. And I think it's about 4 something. Oh, yeah. Well, we'll just say about. Now, of course, this BIOS uses a 24-hour clock. And it's 2026. Yeah. And it's the 14th of February, and yes, it is a Saturday. So yeah, definitely Y2K compatible. Let's hear Alt and P. And we want to set the boot order. I want to move the boot order. Oh, how do I? Let's see here. Okay. Oh, there we go. Hit. Oh, that's what it is. Okay. So it's U to move it up in the boot order because it was looking for a floppy drive first. So now I got it set to optical drive, then internal hard drive, then the floppy. So I want to hit, and I want to save. And yeah, I left a FreeDOS disk in the drive, and it's booting. Okay, so now that I can boot the computer with my homemade battery pack, the first test I'm going to just shut it off and disconnect the power brick. So now the BIOS of the computer is only powered by the battery pack. So I'm going to come back in a couple hours and see if my settings have held. So it is now a couple hours later. So it is now time to plug the laptop back in just to see if my second homemade battery pack for the BIOS is working. There we go. And turn it on. And go. It posted real quick, and it boots. So yes, after a couple hours, it does hold on to its settings. So there's one success right there. So next test after this will be a 24-hour test. So I'll just unplug the power and running the BIOS chip only from the battery pack, and we'll see if it holds its settings. Okay, so it's been 27 hours since I pulled the power plug and left just my replacement BIOS battery to power the BIOS chip of the computer. Let's turn it on and let's see if it's holding its settings. And yep, 24 hours and it is still holding. So next I'm going to do the same thing, do a 72-hour test, and if it passes that, I will officially consider this to be fixed. So here we are about 3 days later, and I'm going to put the BIOS battery that I made to the test. So I'm going to plug in the power cord, and let's see what happens. And there we go. It boots. It's good. We're fine. So I think we can actually call this a fix now. Holy cow. Okay. So now I've got some exciting projects with the Doom Dell coming right up. And I'll have that in a third installment, probably in a few weeks. So until next time, I'll be back again soon with another project on the workbench under the stairs. So as a little addendum to the end of this project, I attached my voltmeter leads, and my homemade battery pack is only putting out 5.8 volts. So keeping this thing unplugged any further, it would probably drain some more. So I'd say a couple more days unplugged, it probably won't last much longer. So I'll just keep it plugged in for the next project.